Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, where does it all go? It feels like no matter how much you earn, you're just stuck, right? Treading water. Well, you're definitely not alone. But what if I told you the real reason you're broke has way less to do with your paycheck and everything to do with what's happening inside your own head? Today, we are diving deep into the psychology of money, all based on the brilliant ideas of author Morgan Housel.
Okay, let that quote just hang in the air for a second. Now, when Housel says ignorance, he's not calling anyone stupid. Not at all. He's talking about a really deep misunderstanding of how money actually works in the real world. See, it's not about secret formulas or some Wall Street genius. It's about our own psychology. And that, my friends, is often our biggest enemy.
And this right here is the absolute heart of the matter. Getting good with money, it isn't like physics or calculus. It's not a hard science. It's a soft skill. It all comes down to how you behave. And you know what the good news is? Behavior is something every single one of us can learn, and more importantly, control. Look, we've all been sold this idea that to be financially successful, you need some fancy degree, or you need to know a guy who knows a guy. But the reality? It's so much simpler and honestly, way more empowering. What actually moves the needle are things like patience, managing your own expectations, and learning to just run your own race. These are skills that are totally within your grasp, right now, today.
Still not convinced? Okay, let's talk about the incredible true story of Ronald Read. This guy was a janitor. He saved what little he could, month after month, invested it patiently, and when he died, he left behind a multi-million-dollar fortune. Meanwhile, we've all heard stories of some Harvard MBA, a financial wizard on paper, who ends up completely broke. It just proves it. How you behave with money will always, always beat how smart you are.
So that brings us to one of the biggest psychological traps out there. It's this invisible force that keeps us from ever feeling wealthy. Housel calls it the comparison game. And it's a game that is constantly, silently making us feel like we're falling behind, no matter how well we're actually doing in real life.
And what's really wild is how this game has changed. You know, a generation or two ago, you compared yourself to your neighbors, maybe your coworkers. That was it. But today, oh man, today you're up against an algorithm on Instagram and TikTok that is feeding you the richest, most successful, most perfect-looking people on the entire planet, 100 times a day. It is a game you are mathematically guaranteed to lose.
Housel tells this amazing story from when he used to be a valet in LA. Whenever a really fancy car like a Ferrari would pull up, he had this huge realization. He never once thought, wow, the guy driving that car is so cool. Not once. Instead, he would immediately picture himself behind the wheel. We use other people's fancy stuff as a mirror for our own desires.
And this all boils down to a fundamental truth about people. No one is thinking about you as much as you are. We are all the main character in our own movie. So that deep desire you have to impress other people with a nice car or expensive stuff, it's based on a total misunderstanding. They're not looking at you, they're looking at your stuff and just imagining it was theirs. Okay, so if trying to impress other people is a losing game, what about just trying to make ourselves happy? Well, the problem there is something psychologists call the moving goalpost. As our reality gets better, we make more money, our expectations rise right along with it. And that can just completely sabotage any feeling of progress or happiness. This might be one of the most powerful ideas in the entire book. Happiness isn't just about improving your reality, it's about the gap between your reality and what you expect. So you have two levers to pull. You can increase your reality, make more money, or you can manage your expectations. And learning to manage your expectations is the secret weapon to feeling wealthy.
Will Smith once shared this incredibly powerful story about this exact problem. He said when he was poor and depressed, he always had hope. He thought, if I can just make money, I'll be happy. But then he got unbelievably rich, and he was still depressed. And in that moment, he said he lost all hope. It's just a brutal reminder that money is a terrible tool for trying to fill a hole in your soul.
Okay, so we've laid out all the problems. What in the world is the solution? Well, it starts with a huge fundamental shift in your mindset. We have to stop thinking about saving money as this painful, awful sacrifice and start seeing it for what it really truly is.
So instead of seeing saving as delaying gratification, let's reframe it. Think of it as an immediate purchase. Every single dollar you save isn't for some far-off retirement. It's buying you independence right now. It's buying you peace of mind today. Honestly, just think of it as a payment you make for a better night's sleep tonight.
And the flip side of that coin is just as powerful.
Debt isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. Every single dollar of debt you have is a piece of your future that belongs to someone else, a bank, a credit card company. They own a piece of your future time. Saving is the act of buying that time back, so it belongs to you and you alone.
So, how do you actually get started? It's not with some complex budget. It's with super simple, almost kindergarten-level habits. First, just look at your bank account every day. That's it. Just build awareness. Second, start treating your savings like a bill you have to pay, just like rent. It's non-negotiable. And third, and this is the magic trick, automate it. Set up an automatic transfer and take your emotional, flawed human brain completely out of the decision.
All right, let's bring this all home with the final and maybe the most crucial distinction you can ever make. This one idea has the power to reframe your entire financial life. There is a massive difference between being rich and being wealthy, and most of us are chasing the wrong one.
Let's break it down real simple. Being rich is your current income. It's visible. It's the fancy cars, the big houses, the money you spend. But wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the money you don't spend. It's the savings and investments that buy you freedom, that buy you independence, that give you the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want with my time today.
And if you need a cautionary tale, just look at the Vanderbilts. Back in the day, they were the richest family on the planet. But you read the biographies of the heirs, and they were almost all universally miserable. They had unbelievable riches, but they were trapped in a lifestyle. They had zero independence, zero control. They were incredibly rich, but they weren't wealthy. And guess what? Today, that massive fortune is almost entirely gone.
So in the end, it really all comes down to this one question. You have to ask yourself, is your money a tool that you use to build a better life for yourself? Or is it just a yardstick that you use to measure how you stack up against other people? Because once you realize that the real goal isn't a bigger yardstick, but a better life, your entire relationship with money can finally change. The goal isn't to have more, but to need less. And that is a game you can actually win.